Hello students, welcome to the next class of economics. We are doing the chapter rural development in Indian economic development book of class 12th. In this chapter we have started the discussion about the rural development, and after that in the recent video we have discussed about the sources of rural credit. As we know, majority of the Indian population is living in the villages, and we can say that two-third population is living in the rural areas. So the development of those people along with their habitat is very important. So if their native places will develop, then the people will also develop and overall economic development will be there. So sources of rural credit is the topic which we'll discuss today. And as we know, source means from where the rural people were gathering or arranging the finance or money for their needs. As we know, कि they have the several needs, such some are like needs of their agriculture, needs for their to cater the equipment, seeds, machine, fertilizer for farming or agriculture. And the second need are the general need or personal needs, such as marriage, cremation ceremonies, any festival. So they need finance. And why they need finance? Because we are aware of that कि at the time of harvest only the villagers or poor farmers or the farmers are having the money in hand. Rest of the time they are borrowing the money, they are taking loans, or they are looking for the credit. So for these needs of credit, where they are going, before independence majority of them were going to the money lenders, traders, zamindars we can say, or to the big farmers they were going. But after the independence, the government was looking, as those non-institutional sources were charging high interest rates from the farmers. So the government decided to ease their problem, because they were in the debt trap due to the high interest rates of these money lenders and traders, which were not following any rules and regulation or laws of the government. So day by day the situation of the rural people or the marginalized section people became worse. So in 1969, India adopted social banking and multi-agency approach to adequately meet the needs of rural credit in the country. Those sources of rural credit when we talk about, so basically we have the sources like if we are categorizing it, so these are non-institutional sources and institutional sources. Okay, but before going for this these topics, there is some summary is given. Like later the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development (NABARD) was set up in 1982 as an apex body to coordinate the activities of all institutions involved in rural financial system. सो एपेक्स माने सुप्रीम अथॉरिटी है, एक सिंगल बॉडी है जो लुक आफ्टर करती है रूरल एरियाज़ में लोगों के फाइनेंशियल नीड्स को. द ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन वॉज अ we can say was a harbinger of a major changes in the credit system, as it led to diversification of portfolio of rural credit towards production oriented lending. Like earlier they were lending just for their personal needs most of the time, and their approach was not for the commercial approach was not there. They were doing farming, but just for their substantial needs. So here the source of rural credit can be classified as non-institutional sources and institutional sources. Now the terms non-institutional and institutional are self-defining. Non-institutional means informal sectors, like there is nobody to look after the activities of these bodies or this sector, and these are traditional source of rural credit in India. These sources include money lenders, relatives, traders, commission agent, friends, landlords, etc. So if we'll talk about the stats, so out of all the above sources, money lenders have been advancing a major share of rural credit requirement. They advance nearly 94% of total credit requirement in the year 1951-52, very big number. Major problems in taking loans from money lenders are very important points, and I hope you have seen in many movies these problems poor farmers facing. They charge very high rates of interest and thus exploit farmers. First problem. Second is they acquire land on failure to pay back the loan. The third is they manipulate the accounts. So these are the three major problems of the peoples taking loans at the time of independence or before independence from the money lenders. The second is traders and commission agents. First we have discussed what they do. So provide they provide advance credit to the farmers on the mortgage of crops. The problems of taking loans from traders and commission agents are they charge high rate of interest, again this is the problem, and they force farmer to sell their crop to them at low prices. Traders and commission agents, like some big traders or agents are there who are selling the goods in the urban area, so they providing cash to the rural people and they are forcing them to sell their crop to them as a return of their loan with interest, and they are also compelling to sell their products at low price. So through this they also exploit the poor farmers. The next category is of landlords. So they also become an important source of granting rural credit. Some of the problems faced by farmers are landlords charge high rates of interest. We are aware of that. Like we are going to bank or we are going to any landlord, so is definitely going to charge high rates. Second is they exploit small farmers by manipulating accounts also. As we know, small farmers are usually not properly literate and they are not aware of the proper accounting, so they also manipulate the accounts, and through this those farmers, those people just trapped in the debts. It's very difficult to overcome these debt traps for them. Next is relatives. So they too play an important role in granting credit to the farmers. These normally carry no interest and money is returned as per the requirement of the loan provider or after the harvest. So these are the traditional sources, we can say, which were running from very long time back, and these are informal sector. These loans, like from money lenders, trader and commission agent, landlords and relatives, are informal. So as they were, we have seen many problems we have discussed in each sector. Each one was having the several problems. So there was requirement of such system which can resolve or overcome these all the problems. So the institutional sources can be the solution, or we can say the formal sector. So the institutional structure of rural banking today consists of a set of multi-agency institutions, namely commercial banks, regional rural banks or RRBs, cooperatives, and land development banks. So for helping the people in the rural areas in for doing agriculture, there are these four major institutions which are helping peoples. The first is commercial bank, the second is regional rural bank, the next is cooperatives, and the last is land development banks. So as we are aware of, but the point is given, Cooperative Credit Society was established in 1904, which played a major role in shifting the role of informal sector to formal sector to provide rural credit. A major change occurred after 1969 when India adopted social banking and multi-agency approach to adequately meet the needs of rural credit. Also, nationalization of commercial banks in July 1969 expanded the role of formal sector. So, have you heard about that that nationalization of commercial banks. And most importantly, here is a question for you. What do you understood by the commercial bank? What do you understood by a commercial bank, and do you know the definition? This topic is there in class 12th. Whole banking chapter is there in macroeconomics. But today I am giving you this question कि you should search what is the work of a commercial bank and what is the definition of a commercial bank. If you fail to find, you can ask me, I'll explain you, or